and everyone would just be terrified, just like, don't do anything. Don't. I remember because when you drop shit and make huge noises, everybody would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" They'd be like, "Oh my god, I just did," you know. But it was cool because the music was on, and that's the only thing you heard. Like we spoke to each other as very library like the way we talked and everything, and I just remember feeling when I was working there that I was working towards something great.
That's how I felt.
Yeah, and that I was given sort of like the old uniform from the past person, and okay, like now you have to help build this thing that is already built and almost there, but we're still finishing it. We're still chipping away. So
that's the magic of that place.
Yeah.
And, as I sort of reflect on after the thing has been destroyed, you start looking at what of it needs to continue to live. What can you allow to die? Meaning, what was the thing really about? And while from a food perspective, I think we did things that no one else did. I think we, who else really for many, many, many years operated and utilized a farm at a 3-star level like that? Not as show, but as the substantive part of what we cook.
Yeah.
The juxtaposition between what we pulled out of the dirt and the super degree of refinement that it resulted in, like how we honored vegetables, how we honored humble products. Like we did things that people didn't do.
Yeah.
Even apart from those things, what I'm left with as I sort of look back and look forward is it was a place that added more value to the lives of the people who worked there.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think everybody felt that. Mm-hmm. I mean, those who stayed felt it. I mean, some people, it wasn't for everybody.
It wasn't for everybody, sure.
But for, certainly for myself and the people who put time in there was a feeling of, not just that you were part of something bigger than ourselves, which I think I certainly felt that way, but that the simple act of doing what we did from the farm to the kitchen to the floor, we added value to our lives and secondarily to the lives of the people who ate there. That was always how I looked at it. The place was for us. The guests were, you know me, I was never out touching tables.
Yeah.
We did what we wanted to do, and we believed that if we did it right, everything else would take care of itself.
Yeah.
We created a space, and I hope to again, that has as its fundamental mission the betterment of the lives of the people who live there. Mm-hmm. I didn't always do it as well as I could. I mean, but in retrospect, that thing, irrespective of how well we applied it, is the thing that will be the cornerstone and the foundation of whatever comes next, because that is the one lasting thing. For sure.
Sort of after, and what we're referring to is the fire that took place and took our restaurant a couple months back. But the outpour of love on social media and every avenue, newspapers. Yeah. I had Michael Passmore who raises sturgeon. He sends a weekly list of availability. He said something about it, and it was like, man, this restaurant has touched way more people than we could ever fathom. Yeah. Who's worked here, who have come to eat there, and there's nothing like eating there and working there are two different experiences, but some of the best experiences in my life. Yeah. And I never worked in a room with so many people that were so driven. Yeah. And
just a high level of person.
Exactly. It's a high level of person. And those who weren't high level people would see themselves out. It wasn't like oh, get out of here. It was like, I don't think I belong here. I'm going to move on, kind of thing. So
that's why it was always understandable to me if people are like, this isn't my thing. I was never like, I get it completely.
Yeah, for sure.
It never upset me or why don't you like it or blame that person. Like it is what it is. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you don't have to play on that team. You can go work at another 3-star. It's like, that's how I look at it. I look at 3-star restaurants as like the NBA. There's just different teams. Different teams do different things. Yeah. And, are there better restaurants than others? Of course. But on every other day, that may change. Yeah. And that restaurant that was bad one day may be better than that restaurant that was good that day. Yeah. So I think that's the beauty of what we do.
Talking about the outpouring of support. I mean, was pretty close to the thing for a long time, and I don't think you were really cognizant. I was not really cognizant of how it was perceived. We operate in a tiny town, I'm not on the global tour. I never cracked the top 50. We always did our thing. I believe very strongly in what we did, but I never really understood how it was perceived by others. And I think the takeaway was that there was a lot of respect for the restaurant, and I think for how we went about our business. I think that was really surprising to me. Very gratifying, I hope, to the team over all the years, and something that really led me to want to consider doing it all over again. For
sure. And then now, before all of this, obviously you had thought of opening a restaurant like this, the Charter Oak. Was that always a dream of yours? Did that enter your life early? Was it something you always thought about, or was it kind of like, you know what? I did it for the 3 stars. I got everything. We're good. Let me create another.
It's almost the other way in that I never wanted to do fine dining. I remember telling Daniel Hum this at Camp's Place. I'm like, I wanted to do a place where you grilled meats. There's a place in Antibes in the south of France where I lived called Le Brûlot, which is like grilled meats and like salads, like really hyper simple, really well executed. I always wanted to do that. I never wanted to do fine dining. I sort of fell backwards into fine dining. I think because I love the people who work in that space.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
The drive.
But I'm not if you know me, like I'm not a fine dining guy.
Yeah.
I think people who don't know me or the world in which we inhabit put me in this sort of world of people that I don't really belong in.
Yeah. He likes to eat like this. It's like, no, we like to eat
this is the worldview of a person like that.
Yeah, no.
And it's just not how it is.
It's usually the way it is for everybody in a 3-star. They're like, oh, he must eat this at home. Yeah. It's like, no, I eat cereal and then,
I mean, I saw some of that after the fire, like this, as much positive press as there was like, people who were like, I hated working there.
Yeah, for sure.
I totally get. But I think a lot of that sort of coverage is guided by a preconceived idea of what people, like, of who I am.
Yeah.
Which I think is way, way, way off base.
For sure.
But yeah, I don't know if I ever said to myself I want to open a massive live fire restaurant. I don't know if I was ever that specific about it, but I knew I wanted to do something that was not 3-star, that my kids could come to, that was just a little more street level. And this building, where we sit, the Charter Oak, became available. I never envisioned doing something this large.
Yeah.
And that, as you know, that carries with it certain opportunities and certain challenges. So we've been able, as you know, to like really make the place successful, even in these really trying times, like thanks to you and the team. So I think the future is bright here. The future is bright, but it certainly has been a very, very, very hard, 3+ years.
For sure. Yeah. So when you were planning that, when was it planned, basically? Because we knew nothing, right? We were just working at the restaurant.
I'll tell you, I remember the deal for this was signed in August of 2015. So we probably began conversations, the way things work in this world, probably 2014.
Yeah.
So this is 7 years ago. Everything about this place is big and hard.
Yeah. Did you envision Chef Kat as the chef always, or did that kind of come into play later?
I think it was a question of timing. I think it was time for Kat to do something else. But it was always the intention that the team would be really tethered to the team at the restaurant.
Oh, for sure. And
it would provide opportunities for people coming from there.
Yeah. So I remember, during the switch, it's like she was R&Ding in the Tram Kitchen. I was still on Meat Station, I think, and then Chef John had taken over as CDC for her.
Right.
And then, you guys got the space. I remember you walked us through it when they were like, before they had started building it out, and it was all the ruins. Yeah.
It's cool. It's a cool space.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's got a lot of stuff.
I was sitting on the terrace last night just looking at the it's a one of a kind building. It's really special.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then what was I going to say? So when you were conceptualizing Charter Oak, did you know that this was the food that you wanted to do? Like, did you know that you wanted to have a fucking awesome burger and beef ribs and chicken with a little sauce on it? And like,
I think I wanted. We pivoted and evolved a lot based on what what the problem with Charter Oak at the beginning is you had a bunch of 3-star guys trying to postulate what a casual restaurant looked like.
Yeah.
And I think what our perception of what it should be at the onset was just a little off.
Yeah.
And there was definitely two different ways of looking at it. The way I looked at it, the way my partner at the time looked at it in front of the house, where it was too fancy. There was too much fancy stuff.
Yeah.
Like the burger was always meant to be like, oh, it's going to be off menu, but now it's like the best selling thing.
Yeah,
you realize
for sure.
what people. This is retail.
Yeah.
This is give the people what they want. Tram is we're going to do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah,
and people come.
And if you want to, choose to come there,
or you don't.
Exactly.
Here is like, it's retail. You got to respond to your audience, and we deal with this all the time. Like, you're talking about your PMix. What's going to sell and what's not going to sell?
What are we not selling? Yeah. What do we got to move? And that's a crazy world, that you have no idea about when you're at a 3-star as a cook. Or a sous chef. Like, you don't deal with costs. It's like, oh, hey, get the 2 kilos of caviar. No problem. Right. And you're because like, cool.
Because you have enough revenue. That it all works.
That's a $300 a person. It's like here. It's like
that's what I like about. I like the challenge of engineering here. Engineering the menu, engineering the dishes in such a way to enable you to do the covers. Like, I really enjoy that, and I found in this process that I really like the idea of being as much, if not more, a restaurateur, and focusing on the vision and letting the chefs be the chefs. I'm still. It's hard for me. That's the first time I've said that out loud. But I think that is what is to me more interesting and makes more sense with the life that I'm leading as a husband and a father.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's felt here. I was, like for you to say, hey, do you want to be the chef after Kat leaves? I was like, excuse me? You know what I mean? Like, because you're like, you think about all the things you've done and have, and it's like the logical first step. At the time, I didn't think it was so. I was, I was like, I don't think, no, man.
Why was it? What did you want to do?
I think at that point, I was like, why would I do this 3-star training and then go fry French fries? Right. But then I sort of started to look at it with more of, you don't have to be on this trajectory like everyone else. Because like before then, what did the chefs do? They work here. They worked at a 1-star, they work at a 2-star, they work at a 3-star, and then they go open their own restaurant. Right. And you framed it to me like there's a whole nother side of this business that you don't know. Right. And, I was like, okay, took it, and I came here, and I quickly realized what you had been telling me. Yeah. That it's not as easy to train people here as it is at Tram, right? People move across the country to go work there, and here it's more or less, you have some of that, but then you have some people that are just here for a job, and you need to understand that as a chef, that not everybody wants to run 1,000,000 miles an hour and do everything how you do it, so I think I learned a lot about leadership while I was here, and learned a lot about food costs and just those things that you don't touch at 3-stars. And I think that's valuable for people, just as it is valuable working at a fast food place or a place that may not be that high caliber before you go to a 3-star restaurant.
I couldn't agree more. People don't talk about that, but everyone thinks that everyone's trying to be a poet and believes that you have to work at all these specific kinds of places to be a great chef. You need to go work at a George's at the Cove. Yeah. Which is, a great restaurant, but again, a restaurants where you just learn how to bang.
Yeah, you learn how to cook.
You learn how to cook. You learn how to be tough.
Yeah.
You learn how to
thicken your skin a little bit.
Yeah, thicken your skin. Yeah. Learn how to not take shit from your peers.
Exactly.
How to
that's a strong part of it, because even when I got to Tram, there was some cooks there. I remember Richie. He was looking at me like, this motherfucker's coming for my job. Like I remember the look on his face, and I was like, oh no, this guy hates me. And
Richie's his famous quote, he was doing something where the abalone was getting miscounted during an event, and he slams his hand on the table. He's like, my job is on the line.
I remember that we were doing an event, it was like a canapé event or something, and we were at different tables, and I was kind of like, hey, throw me that pastry bag, and he walks it over. And I'm like, you could have just thrown it to me. He's like, there's too much at stake. I was like, that's Richie, man. But that's how cool that place was, because as soon as you walked in there, all your life's problems forgotten. Because all you cared about is being as perfect as you could be, But what after that, Charter Oak, open 3 years now. Where does Ensue come in all of this?
It's interesting.